In the upcoming new episode, Cody will attempt to love bomb Janelle and Meri. He will attempt to act as though everything is, completely normal. And he will be friendly. He will be really extravagant, He will act as though he truly cares for them. He will act as though he is overjoyed to see them. He has been avoiding them, avoiding talking to them, and avoiding dealing with them for years. But now, when he needs money, he will kiss their butt and attempt to make amends. And I wonder if Kody understands that he will not succeed with those strategies. Personally, I've grown up among narcissists, and I can tell you that they're really adept at playing the charm when they need something from you. They may say that you haven't spoken to them for months or years, or for any other reason, and then all of a sudden they have something they need. Welcome to TLC Flicks, your ultimate destination for all things reality, drama, and binge-worthy moments. From shocking twists to behind-the-scenes secrets, however. Be it money, assistance, a signature, or something else entirely, and then all of a sudden they open up to you as if they truly care about you and they're being very sweet and extravagant. The charisma is on, and you have the impression that either everything will return to normal or that something will change this time. It's beginning to seem to you that perhaps they are merely interested in speaking with me. Then, as if they need something from you, they reveal the truth. Then you come to the realization that it was all a manipulation. That is how Cody and the women have this entire exchange. After years of his brushing them off, they are finally communicating, and he is now attempting to be extremely kind to them by acting as though nothing more has happened, that he has done nothing wrong or anything. In public, he made no disparaging remarks about them. Since Cody believes that we have forgotten all he said about Meri, I'm pretty sure that this is the 7th stage of delusion. He believes that we haven't been paying attention to what he has been doing to them in terms of Coyote Pass. He believes that we haven't heard all of the disgusting things he has spoken about her in public. He keeps putting her under the bus, acting as though she were the worst person in the world, talking about how terrible and abusive she was, how ugly he was to her, and how he wasn't in love with her. She was never the object of his adoration. A few weeks ago, the man essentially accused her of enticing him into joining a cult, despite the fact that his parents were already members. He said that he only married her because her parents were supportive of the cult. He has therefore disregarded her throughout the course of, a number of years. He has not spoken to her. In addition to disparaging her, he refused to discuss the property with her. This man has been cruel to her for years. He won't acknowledge her when she wants to make amends, get the money, and go on because he will tell Janelle that she is too cruel and that he doesn't want to speak with or deal with her. Then he acts as though he is with her. None of that actually occurred. This is the conduct that would be confusing to you if you were in the center of a gaslighter and you weren't separated from them. But after you've been away from this type of bullshit for about 5 months, you realize what it is and decide that you won't put up with it. Additionally, Cody is behaving as though he cares about the dog Zona. As he knows, he despises dogs. He is a dog hater. He is fully aware of Meri's reasons for not wanting to speak with him. He is unable to recognize the truth because he is so completely egocentric. Looking at Cody, I was wondering if she had a brow lift or if she had received a small amount of Botox. Or did you receive any fillers? Something has been going on with his eyes lately, and his face looks larger but different. It's not a facelift per se. He's either had injections or Botox. As someone who has had lip injections, I firmly believe that Cody has had them. I've had Botox and lip injections, and I'm not against using them or anything else to feel better, but I believe Cody has had lip injections and has probably had eye surgery to correct his eyes. I have no idea what it is. It might be a small brown lift, but I'm not sure. It might be a tiny facelift, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the Botox is awful. Although they may not be as noticeable, he still has wrinkles in his forehead that are rather noticeable, so I'm not sure if it's Botox. Since too much Botox can cause your eyebrows to go extremely up, it's possible that he didn't get a lot of it and wasn't totally paralyzed. I've experienced that previously. You may feel as though your forehead is immobile, and you're comparing yourself to that character from Saturday Night Live who has a large forehead and tiny fingers. She sings and has the doll-like hands of that girl who is about Cody. This year, he simply looks so different. Without a doubt, Meri got Botox, and it looks great. In fact, it looks great. And because McKelty mentioned it on her Patreon, I am aware that they utilize Botox and fillers. Furthermore, nobody is above utilizing temporary fixes to improve their appearance on camera. Meri has undoubtedly had Botox, and I think she looks fantastic. Returning to Meri and her recent remarks, however, I kind of forgot how, in the previous season, Cody called Meri's friends bitches and warned her that if she didn't cut them out of her life, she would never find a man because no guy would want to hang out with a girl who has bitches like Meri's. She is fiercely protective of Janelle, her friend. Even though I really adored Jen, you know how much she helps Meri and how much she appears in this series. You must, keep in mind that she has done things for Meri and works for Meri as well. For example, she works part-time for Meri and assists at the end. She works at the inn as Meri's, quote, unquote, sort of assistant. Given that she's working on sisterhood, I wonder if their relationship has anything to do with their jobs. In any case, I'm not likely to want to be with you either if you come for your pals. It's nice to see Meri, establishing a boundary here, since I believe Cody is so accustomed to them not, just going along with the flow and acting as like what happened wasn't a coincidence. He physically gaslights them, mistreats them, and manipulates them for a long time. When you can no longer be controlled and Cody is struggling, this is what occurs. This is the part of this season that I'm genuinely excited about. Have you heard any amusing jokes? How does this feel? Is he attempting to retrieve them? Is he in a bar? The fact that Janelle has children who are Maddie's offspring is another issue that needs to be avoided. She had 3 at the time this was being filmed. She currently has 4 children, all of whom are Maddie's and Cody's daughter's offspring. They're Cody's grandchildren, I see. According to Janelle, her grandchildren don't make amusing jokes. Well, I live with kids and they tell really funny jokes, Cody added. Cody never inquires about his grandchildren's well-being. Rather than, hello, Janelle, how are the children? How are the children in you? How are you and the grandchildren? No, any good jokes? Asks Cody. Any good jokes you've heard? It's hilarious that Cody isn't recognizing that the kids are his grandchildren because last week, while they were organizing the garage or whatever it was he was doing with Robin, they began discussing how to save items for future generations. I'm now positive that when they talk about grandchildren, they're talking about the grandchildren Robin's children will have in the future, because those grandchildren are his grandchildren, his flesh and blood. Nothing else. He exclusively discusses his children with Robin. Could you imagine what it would be like to be around a guy who treats your kids like garbage, ignores your daughter and your grandchildren, and bullied your son so much that he ended up killing himself and kicking your kids out, but you still let Robin's kids live with you? Cody believes he can just be cute and pretend nothing happened, even though there is a lot going on here that is kind of beneath the surface. The grandkids issue genuinely offends me a lot. To be fair, Maddie has stated that her children are unaware of Cody's identity because she is clearly not him, and she doesn't really want them to be in a relationship with him. She hasn't met the 4th child, and he hasn't met Joey, her new baby, who was the newest when this was filmed. Yes, he hasn't met 2 of them, but I can't recall the baby's name. Therefore, Cody has no bond with these children. They are merely biological extensions of him. Actually, he acts as though the children don't exist, which makes me feel sorry for them. He acts as though they aren't genuine. It makes me understand that what we're witnessing now is what they endured for, say, 10 years, and they pretended that they didn't. He has this entire life with Robin that he parades on TV, that he behaves like is his family, and that it's at the expense of everyone else. His current behavior and treatment of them are similar to how he used to act when they got together in the past, and they would pretend and play along. Now, he is losing the plot and is unable to get them to do so. I'm not sure what the future holds for this show, and I say this in almost every video I make about it, but I sincerely hope that someone will give it back to him eventually. Whether it's a family member, a tell-all host, or one of his kids. I don't know one of them. I know it's absurd to flaunt yourself on TV, but he does it to them, so it would be really satisfying to watch as a viewer. However, this is their real life, so I can understand why the kids don't want to do that. But my goodness, he's a complete moron. He doesn't even admit that they are his grandchildren when she speaks of them. That is simply abhorrent. Do you believe he sends cards to the children on their birthdays or to the grandchildren on theirs? Do you believe Robin is so vengeful that she would not support such connections because they are associated with people who have hurt her? Children. You know, Robin is such a wicked witch and lady that she can't move past her own pain to be the bigger person. She literally witnessed him evict his children from his life and from her light. She doesn't mind at all. He doesn't have a relationship with his children, but that doesn't matter to her. And when something else happens, or when she, acts as though she and her children don't exist, he will do the exact same thing to her. Of course, after a while, it becomes repulsive. That's the most recent development involving Cody and the women. According to current theory, Cody Brown may be holding his son-in-law responsible for his married daughter's reluctance to date him. McKelty came up with this notion, but it makes sense. After all, why would Cody ever hold himself responsible for his daughter's disinterest in dating him? Not at all. Simply accuse the son-in-law of inciting his daughters to rebel against him. Yes, and the entire conversation between Aurora and her boyfriend was, a way for Cody to demonstrate that he is being a protective father, but he may also be attempting to ensure that this new individual won't, turn his back on him. These are the only banana games that Cody Brown currently plays. Additionally, as you recall, Cody will inform Robin that this woman emailed him in the upcoming episode of the new season. It doesn't make sense when you combine the two of these things together. He will claim that the woman emailed him to reprimand him for abandoning plural marriage and polygamy, and then proposed to him after saying that she wanted to get to know him for romantic purposes. The woman tells them, "I don't want you," on the one hand. You stopped pursuing many marriages. It's unbelievable that you blame yourself. You must change your ways. You must return to church. And Cody, may I be your new wife? Blah, 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 blah. After giving it some thought, I realized how absurd it was that those two events would occur simultaneously. You must repent. You must repent. You reprimand her. I will reprimand you. Can I be a wife too? Hold on, what? How does one transition from animosity to fondness? I'd like to be your spouse. So strange. That was a story, in my opinion. But Tony has now offered an idea and a suggestion that, as I've always told you, is what Cody is doing. At least, that's what I believe. Additionally, McKelty and Tony believe he is doing the same thing. I suppose it must be true if 3 individuals believe it to be so, or if 3 people are evaluating Cody and they all believe it to be the same. Because, as Christine once stated, if multiple sister wives have the same sentiment, then it's a fact. Since I feel the same way as Cody, McKelty, and Tony in this instance, it must be true. For years, Cody acted as though he was polygamous and had several other wives he wanted to date. He also acted as like he cared about these other women, despite the fact that he was essentially leaving all of the wives and children behind for Robin. In order to keep Robin around and prevent her from leaving him because it's a deal breaker, he is now acting as though he is entertaining women. I believe Robin wanted to live a polygamous life, even if she didn't truly want to. She does this because she wanted to be the best wife. She wanted to live a life of fake polygamy, where she would still have everything she needed and wanted, and she would also not have to deal with him constantly. Now that she has to deal with him constantly, I believe she is experiencing buyer's remorse. And I believe that Cody is well aware that, in accordance with church rules, if Robin returned to the church and sought advice from the brethren, they could tell her that, well, if you want your soul and you know that you are eternal, if you want your eternal life to be salvaged, we need to find you a man that will get you into the celestial heaven or the celestial kingdom, because Cody's not going to do that. And for the benefit and the sanctity of your eternal life, we need to get this changed. We must find another relationship for you. It is not unusual for the wives who remain in the church to find new husbands or be assigned to a new husband, according to the odd people I have spoken to. For example, if a guy is totally destroyed and all the wives depart, this is what happens. They are allocated to someone new, so it's not even like they get to choose. And since Robin continues to have relationships with her mother, sisters, and brothers who are still members of the cult, I believe that Cody's concern is very real. Cody has to play the games to keep her interested and around because she has other family members who are still members of this cult, who still adhere to it and believe in it. Additionally, I believe that your soulmate is not truly your wife if you have to play games to keep her interested in you, so she won't leave him. It's actually, extremely harsh if you have to lure her by giving her the impression that polygamy is a possibility. Not that Robin is an innocent victim in this case, But it simply goes to show that things are more complicated than they seem. They wouldn't be having these ongoing conversations if they were in a soulmate connection, so it's not at all that. They would not continue to discuss polygamy, and I am aware that some of the players are doing this for a plot point, but at the same time, Mykelti and Tony, who know Robin well and have severed their communication with her until recently, are fully aware that within the split, the fact that he was no longer a polygamist was one of her problems. What does that signify for her, then? For it is the reason they were married, the reason she consented to marry him, and the reason she would not have married him if he had not practiced polygamy. And because she won't let things go, it makes Cody need to play games, which is just dumb. And it chips away at Cody's core. Regarding her father's treatment of Aurora, Mykelti also had some things to say. She was very irritated with her father because she had mentioned earlier in the same Patreon that her father treats his daughters as if they are property, as if they are someone else's property, and he doesn't think they are their own and have the capacity to care for themselves. And treating them that way is just incredibly sexist in a lot of ways. Tony stated that it's just a terrible sentiment to tell someone that, for example, if you kiss my daughter, you're kissing someone else's wife, assuming that the girl lacks the capacity to control her own kisses. She didn't use the term sexist specifically. Additionally, Mykelti stated that a woman chooses who she wants to kiss. She is in charge of choosing who she wants to kiss and how many kisses she receives. It's not a man's property. Additionally, it's clear that Cody hasn't moved on from some of his long-held convictions, which have long been a source of trouble for many of them. The fact that they positioned, really irritated her. Brought up this point, such as when Cody remarked, "Well, she didn't ask my permission." She doesn't require his consent, Mykelti said. She is free to do as she pleases. She is free to do as she pleases. She is free to choose who she wants to date. She is free to marry if she so chooses. She doesn't require her mother or father to choose her partner. She also thought the introduction was really awkward. She did sort of explain that it was probably a setup where they were going to introduce him and that they needed a plot for the show. Because he would be more involved in her life and might even appear on the show, and because they don't have a plot of their own, Aurora might have agreed to bring in her boyfriend for a plot because then Cody could use it to get married. Therefore, in order to introduce someone, they must develop a plot, write a script of sorts, and develop a scenario for how they will integrate this individual into the show. Therefore, the entire situation is entirely produced, and it may seem as though the words they are speaking are true. However, Mykelti doesn't believe that this person was casual because it's not a good idea to present someone casual on the show. Once you introduce someone, they will become a part of the history of reality TV. You're only going to bring someone serious to television, and since Robin and Cody don't have any plots, they'll have to find a way to make Aurora have a storyline. Brody and Aurora are clearly a committed relationship. Even though they have been dating for a year, they are still rather young. They have not yet been engaged. He has some property in New Mexico, but there haven't been any announcements of an engagement. Mykelti wasn't certain whether she had finished college, so I'm not even sure if she has. Mykelti responded that she would never know if they would invite her to a wedding if they were married because it would be up to them when someone inquired if she would be there. This connection is so tense. Since shortly after Garrison's death, she claimed, she has not spoken to Aurora. She stated that it has been, for example, March 2024. Here's what she responded after seeing the part where Cody talks about kissing another man's wife. Mykelti has definitely made great progress and has a lot to say. A number of people in the chat said, "Oh, so they're racist," and they wouldn't go that far. They also mentioned how Tony's Mexican heritage and lack of whiteness were major issues for the family. In an attempt to minimize it, Tony said, "No, I'm just so different from everyone else. I don't belong to their group. I'm not sure whether my Mexican heritage mattered, but I was different. I'm not aware of that." That's what Mykelti meant to say. Said when they introduced him, several of the family members disliked the Cody because he was not white. She did, however, add in the same Patreon that Cody is partial to his youngest daughters and children, making the youngest daughter his favorite among them. Mykelti stated that although Aurora is one of his favorite children, he is even more picky with Brianna and Ariella. But he has never been that way with True. He has therefore treated everyone according to his own preferences, and the main reason Robin keeps the children young is so that Cody will continue to have a relationship with them. This is because, once they are older and have formed their own opinions, Cody will no longer want to interact with his older children. which is the main reason she has kept them young. In order to keep Kody around, she is also playing games with him and is using her children as pieces. To keep him engaged, she must employ her children and keep them youthful. They are playing games with each other, and he has to seem as though he will continue to practice polygamy, which ultimately just serves to highlight how toxic their marriage is. It's not a soulmate relationship. Not only does Kody treat his daughters like property, even though he claims to have a fantastic relationship with Robin, but he also treats his children horribly, and he's much worse with his daughters now. It's absurd, I mean. You have undoubtedly heard about the show's manufactured nature. Thus, a huge thank you to Tony and McKelty. You should join her Patreon if you would like to help her. They currently go live twice a week. Share your opinions in the comments section below. They're discussing the special forces, and this is what happens to sister wives. They don't really hold back anymore, and they don't really like Kody and Robin, and there's more. Kody Brown, the patriarch of sister wives, has maintained his notorious conviction that love should be multiplied, not divided, for many years. Kody Brown, the patriarch of sister wives, has maintained his notorious conviction that love should be multiplied, not divided, for many years. But that mentality seems to end abruptly when it comes to his daughter's romantic life. Viewers observed a moment of unexpected intensity on the October 26th episode of Sister Wives when Kody met Brody, the new boyfriend of his daughter Aurora, and quickly turned the cordial introduction into a moral lecture. Throughout the show, Kody and Robin Brown, his lone surviving wife, have frequently highlighted faith and family values. Kody instantly went into protective dad mode when their oldest daughter, Aurora, brought home her boyfriend. He started telling Brody that it was his duty to protect Aurora, both emotionally and physically. However, his message wasn't quite getting through. Kody tried to be delicate, but Brody didn't understand his euphemisms regarding protection. The young rancher, trying to fit in, proudly said that he had provided Aurora with a pocket knife as a precaution. But in reality, Kody was discussing something that had little to do with physical protection. He was implying something more profound, or more austere, actually. Kody told Brody, "When I'm protecting Robin from myself, I'm trying to protect her from being hurt by me," using his own marriage as an example. Aurora quickly grasped the concept. She admitted, "After a while, it's obvious that my dad's talking about chastity. And it's clear to me that Brody is considering his options. I know how to use knives. I have mixed martial arts training." "She is doing well, sir." Kody thought he was getting his point across, but Brody might not have understood. He said, "I don't want my kids playing around. You kiss the wife of another man until she becomes your wife when you're just dating. You're kissing another man's wife if she doesn't end up becoming your wife." Naturally, fans were aware of the irony. Kody was still able to have affectionate relationships with Meri, Janelle, and Christine, the three women he was spiritually married to at the time of his courtship with Robin. Kody claims that only at their individual marriages did each of those spouses give him their first kiss. He went on, "I think chastity is important. Avoid taking something that isn't yours." To his credit, Brody remained composed and patient during the awkward chat. He was taken aback by Kody's indirect morality lesson, but he remained polite the entire time. Ultimately, the grandfather seemed content with what he's seen. Kody remarked with approval, "He wears cowboy boots. He plays the guitar, listens to country western music, and rides horses. Can I trust a cowboy with my daughter? With this cowboy, I believe I can trust my daughter." Viewers were split on Kody's remarks as usual, with some praising his paternal instincts and others scoffing at his hypocrisy. However, one thing is certain, Kody Brown has a clear boundary when it comes to his daughters. Let us know in your comments. And stay tuned by subscribing our channel to get more updates like this. Thanks everyone.